Welcome to Are We Old? The show featuring two comedians getting nostalgic and tackling life's toughest question, Are we old? Here's your hosts, Mike Fenoya and Charles McBee.
Yo, welcome back to Are We Old, the podcast. It is Mike Fenoya.
Yo, Charles McBee, what's happening?
How you doing, my man?
Good, man. Love is in the air.
Love's in the air. Every time I look around.
I think somebody's been holding out on their passion for karaoke. I think you got some karaoke in you.
Can I tell you, if you interviewed my dog and she's like, what's the one thing that annoys you the most about Mike? She'd be like that he sings everything to me when no one else is around. Like, I'm like, do you want a treat? Do you want a treat? I just make up songs about like, let's go poop. We all gotta poop. I just start singing shit. But it's like, I hope she likes it. Or she's like, when she goes to daycare, she's like, yo, my guy is fucking nuts, dude.
Daycare turns into therapy.
Yeah, I always thought about that. That was my idea for a cartoon, was like animal therapy. Like if dogs were able to go to therapy and they're like, yo, he keeps giving me CBD. The shit makes me nuts, dude.
Hilarious.
Why do I got to wear a sweater? I came with one.
Like he doesn't know boundaries.
Yeah.
Always grabbing me and touching me.
Yeah. Would he let anyone smell his feet?
Yeah.
Like, stop smelling my feet and saying Fritos. I'm a weirdo with the dog for sure. I do sing a lot to my dog, but you're right. Yeah, karaoke I get a little bit. Are you a karaoke dude?
You know, I'm not like hey, let's go karaokeing, but there's a couple songs in there, like fun ones couple go-tos down there.
Yeah.
Party started.
What's your go-to?
I get a little Hey Ya by Outkast.
Wow.
It's just you don't have to do too much, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about hitting any notes. You just hit the high parts, shake them like a Polaroid picture. You know, everybody sings along. You got to do a sing-along when you karaoke.
You got to go, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right.
You can't do a spotlights on me. I hate a spotlights on me karaoke.
Can I tell you one time I tried to do I drunkenly made a karaoke decision that like midway through I was like, oh shit, I'm not going to stick the landing.
Oh yeah?
I picked Aha, Take On Me, where it goes, I'll be good. And I just can't hit that note ever. And I sounded like a doof. But I went and gave it to the crowd.
There you go.
That was my like audible, was like, Anna, and let them ruin it.
It was me and a girl that I ended up dating for a little while, but we did a karaoke and I thought I put in Lauryn Hill's "Killing 'Em Softly," killing 'em softly with
the Fugees. Yeah,
I did not put in Lauryn Hill "Killing 'Em Softly." I saw "Killing 'Em Softly" and assumed it was Lauryn Hill. It was actually the original Chaka Khan version, or was it Roberta Flack?
Roberta Flack
version, which is
different.
No beat.
It's different.
It is just a lullaby.
Yeah.
And that thing turned on, and we committed to the bit. And people were looking at us like, because the thing is, with Lauryn Hill, even if you can't sing, you can hip hop your way through it. Everybody,
you can go. You know, one time, two times. Yeah.
Roberta Flack, you gotta either you're in or you're out.
And you were in.
Oh, we were in. And
that's the thing about karaoke. You can't just pull out. You gotta keep going.
That's what he said.
That's what he said is right. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you for watching, and thank you for your patience during construction period. We're still in the dressing room of a boutique back here, I guess. The lights will be fixed soon, so I'm not so washed out. And Charles is looking great in his pad.
You look beautiful, Mikey.
Oh, I don't. but it's okay. Thank you. Hey, 50-year anniversary. 50 years of SNL. That is crazy. Happy anniversary, half a century to quite possibly one of the most underdog, iconic, like, who would have thought that would have stayed? I bet you they were expecting it to be a season or two back then,
They were expecting it to be an episode or two.
I know. And look at us now.
They literally, when they were ready to go to like some other type of, they had some other show ready to cut to in case it sucked too hard in the beginning. Like once the show aired, it was a point where it wasn't even going to air. They were like, this isn't going to air. We already got another thing that we're going to play if this doesn't come together. And it came together, and it's been on ever since. It's kind of crazy.
It's been through a lot of ups and downs. And what's kind of funny is that they always say, I have found, when they talk about the seasons where it's like, this is the worst cast ever, those were kind of like my favorite casts. You know what I mean? Like, I heard an interview with Lorne Michaels, and he said, most people's favorite cast is their senior year of high school.
Yeah, it's about right.
Mine's like my sophomore year, junior year of high school. 94, 95, that Sandler, Spade, Phil Hartman, Tim Meadows, Farley, that group.
Yeah.
That's my all-time favorite. Absolutely.
That sounds about right. I would say mine is probably the class right before the Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Eddie Murphy.
That was the tail end of those guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that class you're talking about it's iconic. They're up there. There's a lot of legends in that class. So I can see that.
My senior year of high school, the cast was Anna Gasteyer, Chris Kattan, Daryl Hammond, Jim Brewer, Norm Macdonald, Tim Meadows, Sherry O'Terry, Tracy Morgan, and Will Ferrell. And he started in 95, Will Ferrell. But
legend, man.
I mean, great class, but also I just think that, like, I don't know, there's something about that chemistry of, like, those, like, the Mike Myers, like you were talking about, I mean, that those classes were just so great, dude. I mean, my high school Saturday night, 11:30 to 1, that was the one night that I could, like, stay out late at my girlfriend's house and, like, watch SNL till it ended and then come home.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I never really stayed home to watch, or I never really stayed up to watch it. Growing up, I would watch, because we had a lot of like the great. I would watch the greatest hits.
Okay.
So it was just like we had the Eddie Murphy DVD and the Mike Myers DVD, so we would just watch like all the greatest hits of like each individual our favorite castmates, and then we had like the best of years, such and such. We had like the the DVDs from the first year all the way until like 2000 or whatever it was. So yeah, I would go back and watch those kind of retroactively. But I remember once or twice actually stand up and watching like a full episode and being like, this what.
Oh my God, dude.
When you watch a full one through and it's not the highlights, you're like, wait a minute.
I mean, dude, I would never miss a week.
Yeah.
It literally was like, I mean, I remember, mainly in the fall and winter, because Friday nights were football games and Saturday night was like a date night or whatever with a girlfriend or something, and or hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Once I started to like go out and drink and shit, I kind of stopped, I didn't care about SNL anymore,
Yeah.
But that was like when I had a steady girlfriend, and Saturday nights were like our date night. I would stay home every single Saturday and we would watch it. And I remember, like, you're right, because when you would watch it, there was a flow to it. And some of like the A- bits would be more towards like after Weekend Update and before the second musical piece.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like sprockets and like weird shit that was like, it was odd, you know. Turned out to be more of my favorite stuff in the long run, but like a lot of those like recurring character things and stuff like that, just so good, man. I mean, all there were so many recurring characters back then that it's just like, I don't know, you don't really see that much anymore, you know.
Yeah. Any which ones stick out for you
As like recurring bit characters are my favorite bits. I mean, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer is easily one of my favorite characters of all time, and it just reminds me of some you know, the world now, where it's just like this sort of like, your ways are weird and scary, I'm just a caveman. Like, it's just this very kind of like, that was hit, like the fact that like an unfrozen caveman is now a lawyer, like fighting a case. It's just, and he's got the hair and the like the brow, like the furrowed brow and stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, Phil Hartman was just so unbelievable in that role.
Phil, the great thing about Phil was he could be a weird, crazy character, and he could be the straight man.
Like, he could be the dad, while Chris Farley's, you know, like what's his name? Shit. The motivational speaker.
Matt Foley.
And he would go, like, he's like, well, you know, he's been downstairs eating bonbons and drinking coffee for the last 4 hours. So, you know, and he was Christina Applegate and David Spade's father. And I loved when Phil Hartman was like that, because you're right. He was so believable at anything he played. He was also like, you know, I mean, I'm a Simpsons freak. So like, he was the voice of Troy McClure. Like, he just had that very like old radio kind of voice, you know?
Yeah.
I loved him so much, man.
Yeah,
he was
great.
So great.
Another
recurring one that I really loved was, I mean, Gap Girls was pretty amazing. I mean, Sandler, Spade, and Farley. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Lay off me.
Lay off, I'm starving. Oh my God. Like, save some fries for the rest of us. And it's just, I mean, just the chemistry again. Like, I mean, all of the Weekend Updates then were great, because I loved the little cameo things. Like when Adam Sandler was just like a Halloween, like, hey, I'm crazy, boot on my head. I got a boot on my head. Isn't that crazy? Like, I love that shit so.
I mean, you could just see it. You like pitching that in a writer's room, or we're in a pitch room. It's got to be one of those things where everybody in the room just kind of laughs. So you go, we don't know what you're gonna do, but it's making me laugh. So just go out there and be silly. Adam Sandler is the king of silly.
You're right,
and really perfecting silly, and you know, I mean, yeah, he was great.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about all the early Sandler movies too, you know, like Waterboy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. Like, they're all just so perfectly silly. And I love those. I mean, those are just like Big Daddy is a great movie, but that's like it, you know, we see serious Adam Sandler for, you know, a minute, but like, just like Nudie Magazine Day, like just how fun and stupid and goofy. And I mean, same with Chris Farley will always be my favorite ever of all time, anything. Like, if there's one person I could bring back, it would be him.
Farley was amazing. Farley, and he leaned into his, you know, he's like, yo, I'm a lovable, loud, fat guy. And he leaned into it. And he really, I mean, he just elevated. He could make a mundane sketch just elevate like crazy.
Yep. And he would,
him being just his presence.
Yep.
He's gonna stay a certain way. He's gonna fall over. He's gonna like go crazy. And I mean, he would just make something just iconic.
Him and Sandler doing the Hurley Boy. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
When he's just like, you know, I'll wash your sheets. Let the boy sleep in your bed and wash your sheets. Please don't make me wash your sheets. Wash your own damn sheets. Like, he's just like, and he'd go like, at the end, like, he'd make these little noises. His little subtleties were the things that cracked me up the most, you know? Like, you look at the Patrick Swayze Chippendales, everybody knows that one. You almost feel bad for him with that one, you know?
Yeah.
But like the way his shirt splits open and he just keeps going, and like he's standing there like kind of posing and flexing. That's the stuff that like he's so endearing and so sweet, but just like such a like there's a great book like the Chris Farley story in 3 acts, and it's an oral biography, which means it's like written, it's stories that are chronologically put in order. So they interviewed friends, family, whatever, and it tells the story of his life, and it's just, man, just everyone loved him. Everybody, like, no matter what, he was just like the most loved, lovable, but also like broken toy of a dude, you know? That's a hard life, man.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys, you know, when you kind of hear the backstory, you realize like, man, they were dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of, you know, a lot of demons sometimes, unfortunately, but man, definitely missed.
Who are some of your faves?
Mine, you know, like I said, I grew up like looking at the guys that came way before, that was like way older, but they were just so ingrained. They were already so ingrained into the American, you know, fabric.
Yeah.
That I would just like watch those over and over again. So like Eddie Murphy, James Brown, Hot Tub. I mean,
too hot in the hot tub.
Hot Tub.
So great, dude.
I mean, again, silly. It's so silly, but he just first of all put the show on his back at like 19.
I mean, literally,
and like just carried it. But Eddie Murphy, Hot Tub, Eddie Murphy, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, classic. We're skipping forward. Will Ferrell and as Alex Trebek is one of my all-time favorites. Daryl Hannah as Sean Connery, and them going back and forth.
Yeah,
is like one of the greatest just duos of all time. Like
Norm as Burt Reynolds in those.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Great. I'll take famous titties for 100. That's famous titles.
I'll take the rapist for. That's therapist. He's like, you wrote poo. Yeah, no, the way that he would just go, just write a number, you know? Yeah, no, it's so hilarious. And you know what I like too was a lot of like those like daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley.
Those are great.
Unbelievable. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Just, it was so clever.
The Michael Jordan cameo or the episode,
and behind him in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Yeah, those are great. Such funny show. And the women on the show are unbelievable. Ellen Cleghorn, Molly Shannon.
Anna Gastor.
Anna Gastor, so good.
I mean, bro, all-time favorite, Pete Sweaty Balls.
Sweaty Balls is so funny. And, you know, that was like where I kind of started to like, I was kind of tapped out a little bit. Like I was already like, I didn't watch it a lot in college. That's when I would go more towards like the DVDs and, you know, shit like that, where I would just get like the best of Phil Hartman, the best of whatever. But like now, I mean, it's just the most ultimate perfect YouTube wormhole is just to go like, just tie weights to my ankles and just dive into old clips. It like got me through the pandemic, I think, really.
Yeah, man.
You know, just watching Norm. Let me ask you this. If you had to say who your favorite Weekend Update anchor was, who would it be?
I mean, yeah, definitely Norm. I mean, when you go back and just watch how funny he was, but how much he didn't give a shit.
I mean,
literally, like the executives and like the heads of networks was like, don't talk about O.J. Simpson again. And he's just like, what? Boom.
So good. And the joke, the delivery and the writing and just his, like, he would just let a bomb hang and just stare at the camera like, huh? See what I did there?
I mean, when he came back to guest host, like a year after being fired, one of the greatest opening monologues like of all time.
He goes, either I got funnier or this show sucks. Which is
I mean, and yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest of all time. His delivery of he's one of the ones where his delivery is almost as funny, if not sometimes funnier, than the punchline. It's like his cadence and the way he approaches the joke is as funny as what the actual joke is. I mean, it's great.
You can't deliver a Norm joke without imitating Norm. Like it's Dangerfield. It's Seinfeld. It's just that like undeniable, I love it. I really do. And it's funny as like inspirational as a comic. Like there are some jokes that I've had that like I don't know how to deliver the punch. And then I'm like, who would deliver this joke well? And I'm like, oh, that's like a Norm joke. And I'll even like take the end of a sentence could be your punchline if you deliver it properly, you know? And that's fun. And he's the one that like I fall more in love with him again, that was another like very deep wormhole of he's just everywhere on the internet too. It's great. There's so much Norm.
Yeah, as we kind of get into more PC, more kind of clamping down on creatives and more comics getting in trouble, quote unquote, you appreciate him more and more. People like him, people like Patrice O'Neal, like you kind of appreciate him more now.
Yeah.
That you go back and go, man, he really just didn't care. You ever hear the Norm story that he did about Sinbad?
Yeah. Refresh my memory.
He's like, me and Sinbad did a JFL together, and we're there, and Sinbad wants some socks. So I said, all right. I took him to a store, and we went around and we got some socks. And he was like, JFL, this is where you kill. This could make your career. We get some socks, and then later on, this is a show, and Sinbad goes up first, and no, he goes. I go up, and I'm running my 5 minutes, and I did good. I did great.
I love your Norm.
Yeah, Sinbad, he goes on after me, and his opening joke was, "Man, this town really doesn't have any socks around." And he just starts talking about how Sinbad crushes by riffing about socks.
Yeah,
it was a big up to Sinbad, but like
we talked about that this past weekend about how Sinbad is like he would literally do like 5 shows and it would be 5 different hours and it would just be like name a thing and he would just riff for that's wild, dude. I know. Yeah, Norm was very kind to comics and he's a killer, dude. And I mean that's why, Billy Madison's always one of my favorite movies because you got, Farley does a cameo as the bus driver.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, me and Veronica Vaughn, we got it on. And Sandler's like, no, you didn't. Well, a friend of mine did. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. He's like, but you could imagine if you did, right? And then Norm's his best buddy that just like lives by the pool, wasted all the time and shit. Yeah. Like there's just the hangs that must have been like. And then maybe it's that whole grass is always greener kind of thing or whatever. But like, I don't know. It just seemed like what a bygone era, even though it was the 90s, that it's like that shit just seems like so much fun.
I mean, here's the thing. And just knowing, we know people that work for the show and hearing stories of those guys. It was anything but fun.
Right.
Let them tell you. When you're in the thick of it, every day they thought they were getting fired. Will Ferrell thought he was getting fired like out the gate. He said, his first, he said he was pretty confident going into it. And then right before he was getting ready to go on for the first time, Lauren was like, no pressure. And Will was like, he just completely, it took him out of it.
Yeah.
He bombed. And it was like all these articles on like, this new cast stinks. Will Ferrell, terrible.
Dude, you think you're going to get fired, right? You're exhausted because you're working literally like you sleep in the office. Then you have to like at the last minute, probably throwing away bits, adding new bits, punching shit up, like yelling at writers. Writers are yelling at you. Everybody's angry. And then you go do the show. You get applause in the moment. And then you feel this chemistry. And then the next day or Monday, this crew sucks. Worst one ever. Lauren should be fired. Blah, blah, blah. Like, how the hell do you not lose your mind?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you're just in a whirlwind. And especially back then when, you know, it was not like now where everything's digital and everything's streaming and like the audience has shrunk. But back then, you know, you were, like you said, it was must see TV. It was like you stopped and you watched it. So like the whole country tuning in to watch you. And you didn't know if you were even getting on. I mean, David Spade, he was just on We Might Be Drunk podcast. And he was talking about how he would never get on a sketch. It wasn't until, you know, you had to pair up with a writer had to like you, which is, you know, me being a writer, I love that writers had so much, you know, seemingly power back then, where it's just like, we'll make or break a star. Who's it gonna be?
Those were the days, huh?
Yeah,
no, I think about that too. And you know what's funny is even as a kid, I remember being like a junior in high school and watching that show every single week. And all I wanted to do was actually just be a writer for SNL. That's when I like TV writing became like my dream, where I was just like, I want to write for TV. And I never had the dream of being on it. Like I never cared about acting or being a improv player or whatever. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be the one that wrote it. I was Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey. I literally can like sit and like in hotels sometimes I'll just put that on as like the background. And just listen to them and they crack me up. They're like little like comedy haikus, you know? Wayne's World, massive.
Oh, God.
Wayne's World, I mean, just so unbelievably hilarious, dude. Schwing,
I mean,
the countdowns, the living room, all of it.
Wayne's World may be. And I mean, look, we were talking about 50 years of SNL, so it could go.
I mean, really, But
it's one of top. I'll say top for me, but at least top 2 greatest sketches, characters, reoccurring. It's up there for me because I mean, just what it one. For other than the fact that I mean, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, like just 2 of the greats. But also it captures a specific time in culture.
Right.
Where now it would be Wayne's World today would be streaming, would be 2 guys or whatever. It would be what we're doing now. Or
it's YouTubers, basically. Right.
But for them to be like, hey, we're going to do a sketch about a public access, you know, local
cable access
show about 2 dudes, 2 stoners who love rock and roll. Like it just is such a time capsule of that era. And then add in everything that went into the show that they were referenced and all the stuff that they would talk about. It was just great. And then of course the movies. I mean, my God.
Tia Carrere.
I mean, moment of peace and gratitude for that angel.
I was waiting for that. Yes, and Bohemian Rhapsody when they were in the car. How many times did I just remember I was in the car. This is funny. Wow, you're unlocking a memory here. I was in a church youth group that I was kind of forced to be in, right? And we would go bowling and then go to like the diner or Friendlies or whatever the hell afterwards. And the older kid drove or whatever, obviously. But we would redo the Bohemian Rhapsody, Wayne's World. And we would give each other the parts and let me go, like in the middle in the back seat and all that. And dude, it was like, I'd go home with a headache because we'd be headbanging at the end and shit. Like, what an amazing, like life-saving maybe shot in the arm for Queen.
I wasn't hip to Queen. I mean, I'm a kid.
I mean, my dad liked him and we had the records and stuff, but like...
that's how I got introduced to that song.
Dude.
I mean, we knew Rock You from sports games.
Yes.
I didn't know Queen. I just knew Rock You from
we knew Another One Bites the Dust from baseball.
Okay, yeah.
And because if anybody struck out, we would go like, but I didn't know the song.
Right.
Like that was it. For all I knew, it was just that like one, line.
Yeah. I mean, to put that in a script and be like, that has to come from a place. And now we're in like a Instagram era. And so, what's popular now on Instagram or TikTok is taking these little weird quirks that you would do in regular life and then just putting it in a sketch.
Yeah.
And it's relatable. That had to be something that they did on their own with their friends. And they were like, you know what?
We got to put this in a movie.
There's no way that you just sit there at a typewriter or whatever they typed it on and was like, this will be fun. No, that's something that you did and was like, this is going in the script. Because it's too specific. It's too perfect.
Way too perfect and way too specific. What an unbelievable like soundtrack. The Alice Cooper, Milwaukee, the whole thing, dude. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We said that all. So great, dude. So great. And then Austin Powers, which was not it wasn't an SNL thing, and it came afterwards. But God, what an unreal career that Mike Myers, like that's the thing that was so fascinating about like the SNL guys. Like look at Three Amigos. Okay. Like easily one of my favorite movies of all time. Right. And I mean, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And Phil Hartman's in it and John Lovitz is in it. And like, I mean, it's just so damn good. And the quality of all those things. Chevy Chase's career after SNL, I mean, Vacation, Fletch, you name it. I mean, just so many killers, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Blues Brothers. I mean,
Brothers. Oh yeah. I mean,
you could literally like it's just an endless Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them. I mean, there's just like there's so many. Bill Murray. I mean, Bill Murray's easily the greatest. Like, I don't know. I mean, Meatballs. I mean, just go back and look at some of these movies and the lineage of the folks that did like Portlandia is a Lorne Michaels joint. I mean, what a great show.
Even even through like the early 2000s, like Andy Samberg and all those guys,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Nine-Nine, like all that stuff. It's just like, man, it's a lot of lineage, man. I mean, SNL. People talk shit about it from time to time, but you look at that body of work over the last 50 years, it's unmatched, man.
It really is. It really is. Big shout out. 50 years, dude. But I heard a lot about how nowadays, like the people who are experts on the show even talk about how, it's more about the views on YouTube. Like you can't have a recurring character anymore because everyone's watching clips.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I feel like on Instagram on Sunday, you can watch the entire show.
Yeah.
They literally like, it's weird. They make the fat and then they trim it, which is very weird. But I would love to. I don't know. I hope they keep going and they're killing it. So big shout to SNL. What are your favorite characters, everybody? What's your favorite sketches? What are your favorite musical guests? Who are your favorite hosts? Are We Old Podcast at gmail.com. This is a fun one, bro. We ripped through this. Jeez. Tell everybody where they could find you.
Yo, you can find me under a bridge down by the river. Or you can find me at Charles McBee.
At Charles McBee. This is at Mike Finoia, MikeFinoia, MikeFinoia.com for all my stand-up dates. And guys, follow and subscribe and rate and review. It goes a long, long way. And thanks for all the comments, and we're loving the interaction on the socials. So we'll keep doing it if you keep showing up, everybody. Peace, peace.
Stay young.